Division of Intangible Cultural Heritage in Policies and Practices. I'm Monalisa Maharjan. I work for the UNESCO Chair in Intangible Cultural Heritage and Traditional Know-how in the University of Edinburgh. Yeah. When I go with the, when I see the presentation and the people I talk, because I work with intangible heritage, so I think that I have this perception that everybody knows what the intangible heritage is. So here I think like it's not the case. So let's go with the word intangible. What the intangible heritage is? If you go by the word, it's like that kind of Dutch. Intangible, immaterial, as say like patrimonio immaterial, intangible heritage, and in Nepali it means amurta sampada. So this is what intangible is, and it becomes like a practices, rituals, festival, the way we cook. You know, this is the Portuguese women cooking the traditional food, our Chapre playing doing the rituals, and the Thai women dancing in the traditional dances. So these are all what makes the intangible cultural heritage. So if we go like in this intangible heritage, how the intangible heritage emerged. It's actually it's a very comparatively very new work as compared to the tangible cultural heritage. This is like it started from 2003 convention of UNESCO Convention for safeguarding of intangible cultural heritage. Before 2003, there has been lots of research also. Like there have been the guiding documents. It shows like the need for the conservation of our this heritage, like music, dances, and things. And also there have been a lot of studies done under the domain of folklore. There are many folklorists who have studied these things. And it was more about documenting and inventory making, recording. So when it came to this 2003 convention, it was with safeguarding. And when safeguarding means it's not about recording the song that used to be sang like 50 years ago, but how to make people sing in the next 50 years, you know. Like this is the main idea behind the intangible cultural heritage, safeguarding intangible cultural heritage. Yeah, and this is the logo of UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. Not everybody has this. I don't know people like everybody knows this emblem of UNESCO Intangible Cultural Heritage. I think everybody knows about that one, like a small house. It's in the Brussels, and you can see that wherever you go in the UNESCO World Heritage Site, you can see this one. In Kathmandu Valley, you can see made in the stones, embossed in the stones. With the 2003 convention, what happened was it had the formal law, like where all the nations who are signing the 2003 convention, they give the official commitment that they will safeguard their practices and the things in intangible heritage in their country. So this became a very powerful tool, like a boost. They give a boost for the conservation, safeguarding, I mean. And also this is one of the most successful, because so many countries ratified the convention immediately. And 1972 is also one of the most successful conventions for the protection of the world culture and, sorry, this is the wood, it's like world cultural heritage, natural heritage. And there are other conventions similarly, like the 2005 convention for the diversity and this one. So in the UNESCO World Heritage 2003 convention, there has been a lot of debate, and this would be like a whole sort of another story if I go into the things what happened within the convention. I would like to be very specific, like as they try to do as a 72 convention. Like 72 convention, there is a list for the UNESCO World Heritage Site, right? Like every city, every country nominated the site, and there are so many and it gives the boost for the tourism, and it's like an identity for the country. So similarly, 2003 convention also had the two lists. Actually, it's like a three list. Is that one list is for the representative list of intangible cultural heritage of humanity. It's for like that has been safeguarding. It has been safeguarding. It has a community participation, and it's going well. But the next one is the list of intangible cultural heritage in need of urgent safeguarding. So, this is the one where you have to it's about to disappear, and we have to have the extra care and the plan by the government. And also, like if with the UNESCO, you can, if you have this in the list, you can have for the funding for the urgent safeguarding. And there is also one list. It's a list of the good practices. With this one, the list making is also one of the important things, because it's not only the thing. We call it element, not only this intangible heritage. The one that you want to propose for the UNESCO list, but you have, every country has to have an inventory of all the intangible within this state boundaries. So this is one of the main criteria of the UNESCO 2003 convention. And maybe you are puzzled like why I have this beer thing. This is in Belgium, and in Belgium beer making is also in the representative list of intangible heritage. So just to have that idea what is intangible heritage. Sorry? A lot of varieties. So here's an example, like on the right top right corner is a tango. It's also it's in the list. And the next one, Bob Marley is not in the list, but maybe you know what that means. Reggae is in the list. This is the Thai massage. It was just listed last year. And the next one is the square in the Marrakesh. It's called Jama al-Fana. This is one of the most, it was in 2008. It was in the very beginning, it was listed. It's not the square as a tangible heritage, but the intangible practices that goes in that square. Because of that, it was listed there. And maybe because now we are, I follow this occupied Turkey a lot, and maybe we can copy from the Jama al-Fana, because in Jama al-Fana, before 2008, in the 90s, like late half of the 90s, they wanted to do wipe up all the things, and also demolish the nearby buildings, and they wanted to have a mall, underground parking, and so many things. Like it was just outside of the historic site of the Marrakesh, Medina. And now people came up together, and there was the support of UNESCO and everything, so it stayed that way. Like it has the free space for the practices you can do, and there are snake charmers and so many things that you can see in this square. So it's one of the intangible heritage. So this is the definition of intangible cultural heritage given by UNESCO in the UNESCO Convention. The first thing that you can see is also it means the practices, representation, expressions, knowledges and skills, as well as the objects and instruments. So when we use for our rituals, the bells and things, drums, can be also the intangible cultural heritage. And there is 5 domains under the intangible cultural heritage. It's oral expression, the stories and these things, performing arts, social practices, know-how and practices concerning the nature and the universe, and traditional craftsmanship. So it was in 2003, and then since 2008 the listing began, and until now, until 2019, we have 549 elements in the different representative and urgent list, and it was been the total countries that have is 127 countries. For this, with the list, as Professor David Bernard already said, that it's a quite bureaucratic process. Because UNESCO is itself a political bureaucratic body. So when you want to nominate any element, there is a proper file you need to write, and with this there are certain word limits that you have to do this, and you also need to have the proper inventory of the element that you want to do, and also the safeguarding plans. And the main thing about the intangible heritage is the community participation. Even when you make the inventory, the community, there should be the involvement of the community, because they are the one who will carry for the future. So the whole lot of things that happens with the community. So this is why the intangible cultural heritage is not from like a top-bottom approach, but this is like a groundstroke level approach. Yes, and then like a safeguarding. Yeah, state parties should have the plans and this file when they submit. Okay, I think like I will come back to this one a bit later, I think also. And before that, I want to tell a short story of intangible cultural heritage, how it was started. Like we have to rewind back to 50 years back, maybe it was in 1970s. There was a letter written by the ministers from Bolivia, and at that time the Bolivia was during the dictatorship, and I think like many people didn't give much attention to that, because like during the dictator rule, and what the letter said was many people, countries, they are stealing the traditional music and traditions from the countries and making profit, and which they don't relate with any of our culture. So there should be a need by UNESCO to be taken care of this type of practices, music and things. So this is like one of the stories that everybody in UNESCO tell things. This is like stories of UNESCO, and how it started was like it was like the letter was in 1973 after the 72 convention, and just a second, I want to see. I think many people know this song. Yeah, this is a song by Simon and Garfunkel, and it came in 1970. It was in 1970, and it was a very famous song. It was in the album titled "Bridge Over the Troubled Water," and the song is El Condor Pasa. So this is the song which was very famous, and once it was an instant hit, all the countries started to have their one version. Like every country had their one version, like Portugal, Spain, Czech Republic, every country had this, and it was so famous. So when you go this, like this was the song, it takes back to Lima. This is a song of the people who used to work in the silver mine in the Andes, like the indigenous people. And there was after Simon and Garfunkel, they had this very hit song. There was a guy named Armando Robles. He filed a lawsuit against them, saying that this is a song of my father. Like it's registered in New York, so how can you have that? And his father was Daniel Almero Robles, and he has registered in 1933 in the New York registry. So, and then they settled out of the court. So that was the over, right? And after that, this letter came, and this letter takes us back to Lima, and Daniel Almero Robles, he was the folklorist, collector, and composer, and he traveled around the Andes, Bolivia, this country. So he composed he documented the music, and he composed his own song inspired by this El Condor Pasa, and then he composed as his own music there. But and then there was in the theater of the Lima, there was a play. It was between the indigenous it's a song of the. It's the story of the guy who fights against the Spanish conqueror, against this mining thing, and this is really long story. Yeah, this is a play, and where like he's the protagonist, and like he fights the bad guys who are colonizing them against the miners, and he's actually the half Spanish and half indigenous mestizo. They call it mestizo, and there they had a song called El Condor Pasa. So and because the play was so famous, and then they had this song. Like, all these people in the play, musicians, they started to play the song El Condor Pasa, and it spread everywhere. And it was in 1933, and when in like 1950s, a lot of the Argentinians and Latin musicians, they migrated to Paris, and in Paris it became again famous. And Simon and Garfunkel, when they went to Paris in 1960s, before they wrote the music, an Argentinian musician gave him the CD saying that this is the composition, and then Simon and Garfunkel bought from him, and then it became the music. So we have this saying, like now we have this traveling heritage from Lima, Paris, New York, and to all over the world. So how the story of intangible heritage, this is the way, this is the reason behind, like there should be some mechanism to safeguard whose heritage is that, like traditional practices, music, dances. Okay, this I think I should stop on this one. So, and it's not only after it was after 1970s, when this music and these things happened. There has been felt a lot of things happen. Like I told you, like there have been folklorists who were doing the work, and if you consider why Japan has so many intangible cultural heritage, because they were the Japan and Korea were the Spain and Italy of the 722 convention. If you see now, there's Spain and Italy, and now China also have highest number of the UNESCO World Heritage Site in the list. And now, because Japan and Korea had also numerous list, because they are the first countries to have the legislation for the intangible cultural heritage, and they have a rule, and they have a law, and a national law. And Japan and Korea have this initiative called Living Human Treasures, and they had also had the project within the UNESCO when the Director General was from the Japan in 1990s. So this gave also the boost for the 2003 convention. And actually the 2003 convention make the ordinary practices, ordinary life of the ordinary people as a heritage, as something that you can look forward to. That's one of the one of the biggest achievement of 2003 convention. So if we come to the Nepalese context, not Nepalese, Nepali context, heritage is still associated with the everyday practices of people. It's a way for people to interact with the community, strengthen the family bond. Like we have Nakti and everything, and you invite people to watch the jatra from your window or from your roof, and also to fulfill the religious duty. So, though we have the plan like Ancient Monument Preservation Act, AMPA Act from 1956, it has been also as the law say Ancient Monument Preservation Act, but the heritage as itself is a very new context for us. But our safeguarding mechanism dates back to 5th century AD in form of Guthi. So Guthi is based on the Guthi that we have here. It's the same name, it's the same ideology to have the people come together for certain cause, with a certain aim, with certain funding given by the people or by people who initiated that. So that is the main basis of Guthi, and also have the land and properties for the continuity. So land and properties comes to second part. First cause and as like a sense of belongingness to be within the Guthi. And I don't know you know about these things or not. We have this called Twa Guthi. It's like a Twa, and whenever you go to somewhere, they don't ask you your name or something like. They used to say like, "Chotsu Twa Moka," which Twa you belong, right? If you don't have a Twa, you don't have anything. You don't have identity. You don't need a surname. You need a Twa. Twa is like a, like a QR code for you. It says everything, like where you are from, where you live, who is your father, mom, and like which caste you belong to. So this is the Intangible festival, one of my favorite festivals, and also my PhD was on this one, also community development and Intangible, NEPALI. So these are all festivals done by Guthi. Every Guthi has this one, like Wonga Guthi, Intangible Guthi, Kumanirat. Even to light the lamp, this is a different Guthi. This is from the Manandars, Pasa Guthi Manandars, and this is from the this is the priest group Guthi of he is for the priest of Kumari. I forgot the surname right now. He is Joshi. The second one is Joshi, but the first one Karmachari. So, and when we come to the legislation, Nepal joined in 2003 convention in 2010, and this has been looked over by the Ministry of Culture as tangible heritage is looked by the Department of Archaeology and intangible by the Ministry of Culture. And there has a new policy, it's 10 years old, called National Cultural Policy. This is like a vague policy, like it has everything, but it doesn't complete anything, but this is not like a law binding. Still, we don't have a ICS law. There is a Guthi Corporation Act in 1964, but the problem with the Guthi Corporation Act is it defines Guthi as an endowment. It's not an endowment, it's not a land, it's not a property. For the Newars, it's not a property, it's an association, it's a belongingness and being a part of something to do something, right? What has been done with Nepal is like there has been few inventory making process, there has been like a few elements has been done inventory, but not within Kathmandu. There has been some outside a valley with some music, something, and also there has been some initiative to make the programs of capacity building of communities and groups. And as a professor said, like we don't have a single list of intangible cultural heritage, and when we have so many lists, we can do all the lists that we can apply for. Like for example, like Italy is making making a dossier, the file for their coffee. If they can have a coffee, then you can see like we can do for even for Ella, we can do for everything. I think that's one my picture. This picture might seem normal for you, and my next picture will actually define our condition of intangible cultural heritage of Kathmandu Valley. Don't be surprised with the picture. I think most of the people who live in Kathmandu doesn't get surprised with this picture. This is the reality of the real scenario of the intangible cultural heritage. Because this seems normal, right? People are playing the musical instrument as normal. The same people, the shutter gets open after a few minutes, and this is the thing. Because it is in front of the Binda Mandir. Binda Pasa. So my conclusion here is like there has been the international effort done, and we don't need to put so much effort on making to recreate the wheel. We already have a wheel. We just need to know where to put the wheel on. So we have these traditional systems, and we have still the functional things that's going on. There has been there has been the problem of the organization, globalization, and homogenization of the culture that we cannot ignore. And for that, we need to have certain plan. like policies or laws. Just having the law doesn't ensure that you will conserve the heritage forever, but that will make, like, you have a law, that means it's against the law to destroy that. So it gives a kind of the legal status for your heritage, not just to to treat heritage like it has been continuing and it will continue forever. It will not happen like that in future if we don't do anything right now. And as I said, like, right side is like we have an initiative like this here, and also like a diaspora that's happening. And if you go see back home, there are still people who are organizing things. And when you go to the festival, you see so many people coming for certain events and things. So yeah, there are some sunshine. But if you go for the legislation and things, and it's quite complicated, but it's not that hard that we cannot do anything. You know, like to write this dossier and to file this is like you need some dedication and some commitment from people who knows how to do that. So yeah, this is my presentation. Thank you so much.
Intangible culture. Yeah, or you, how would you advise us to contribute?
I need to first thing is like, I don't know how I can advise. I think you can hear me, okay.
I can hear you.
Yeah. I don't know, like, it's not like I can advise and people will follow, but the main thing is like to understand your culture and not, and to speak the language. Even though UNESCO says that the language is not intangible heritage, but it's a vehicle to continue, right? So I think one of the main is like to speak the language and to know your heritage, you know. It's like the reasons behind this, not to follow like just because your parents do something, just not to follow that, but to understand the underlying meaning behind that. If you really know the meaning, it's really interesting.
And the best thing is to join the participation right now. And when you get married, definitely take them. Make sure that they will participate and let them do whatever they can do. Let them do whatever they can do.
But also like more practical, like now, because you say that in Nepal, they don't have to be registered. How good? Is there something like on a practical scale already now, on a very real scale?
In the bureaucratic level, you mean?
Yeah, like could we contribute to that in some way from that?